how to determine the limiting reactant. First of all, when we look at this reaction here, oh, I hate when it does that. Let me just refresh it. I don't know why it's doing that. You need to know what the limiting reactant is. The limiting reactant is the reactant that gets used up first in a chemical reaction, also known as limiting reagent. So sulfuric acid plus copper oxide forms copper sulfate and water. Copper sulfate is a soluble salt. We normally add the copper oxide in excess to make sure that all of the sulfuric acid reacts. So because all of the sulfuric acid reacts, of course, the sulfuric acid is a limiting reactant, okay? We know this because copper oxide remains at the bottom and there is no more color change or evidence of reactions. Cool. Let's now look at a question. Any questions with that one? Yeah, we just do everything. We just do. The ratio, just know that we do. Just follow the rules, and that's at this stage, that's all you need to be able to do. Let's now focus on this question. 20 grams of calcium reacts with 18.25 grams of dilute hydrochloric acid, which is the limiting reactant. Worst case scenario, guess. I don't think you'll get any marks for that because your answer needs to be dependent on correct calculations. But look, what we do, this is what we do, okay? I'm going through the question now, and we write down the formula triangle. This is the person who asked the question, what formulae do we need? This is the major one that you need. Of course, also concentration calculations as well. I'm talking about for combined right now. So look, AR or MR multiplied by the mole equals the mass. Now, focusing on hydrochloric acid, we've got 18.25 grams. Then we've got 20 grams of calcium. So look, in the space where you answer your question, you write Ca and HCl. You then write mass MR mole, okay? Or mass MR mole. What's the mass of calcium? 20 grams. Okay, what's the mass of hydrochloric acid? 18.25 grams. What's the AR of calcium? 40. What's the MR of hydrochloric acid? 35.5 plus 1, 36.5. At this point, we calculate the moles. So we do 20 divided by 40 equals 0.5 mole. 18.25 divided by 36.5 equals 0.5 mole. But wait a second. What's the problem here? Guys, you can tell me, what's the problem here? What's the problem? What's the problem? What's the ratio of calcium to hydrochloric acid? Who can tell me? Who said it? Yes, Kaylee, yes, Ellis, yes, Fataha, well done. The ratio is 1 to 2. So if we've got 0.5 moles of calcium, what should the moles of hydrochloric acid be? What should it be? Exactly 1 mole, double that. Well done, Ryan, well done, Ellis. Therefore, because there's not enough hydrochloric acid, the hydrochloric acid is the limiting reactant. This should be 1 mole. So technically, we should have 36.5 grams of hydrochloric acid to ensure that both of these have completely reacted with each other, but we don't. We've got excess calcium. So all of sorry, my dishwasher's on. The hydrochloric acid will completely react because there is not enough of it, and we're going to be left over with some calcium. So hydrochloric acid is the limiting reactant. So all you do in this, you calculate the moles, and then you look at the ratio and think, if that's 0.5 moles and the ratio is 1 to 2, that should be double this. Or the other way of looking at it is, if that's 0.5 moles and the ratio is 2 to 1, this should be half the number of this. Thank you, Ellis. Well done. 35.5 plus 1 is 36.5. Thank you, will make sense. So the biggest number, no, that's not how you look at it. That's the wrong question to ask. So the limiting reactant, because look, they're the same numbers. The limiting reactant is the number which is smaller than what the moles should be based on the ratio, 1 to 2.